This is a story time from one of my Facebook friends. And this is just another example of men trying to keep other men single or lonely or whatever. I don't know what this is or why they are doing this, giving this dumb advice to other men. So she says, I went out to breakfast with my sweetie today. We were waited on by a nice young man. I would guess he was around 25 years old. I'm, they're in their 50s, I think. She says, when we finished eating, the waiter brought the check and placed it in front of me. He then leaned over and whispered in my sweetie's ear, don't pick up the check. Just wait for her to pick it up. I'm not lying or even exaggerating. He actually said that to a grown ass man. My sweetie said, wait, what did you say? The waiter repeated it to where I could actually hear him. My sweetie rolled his eyes and picked up the check. I looked at the waiter and said, so that's what you young men are out here doing? He chuckled a little and said yes and walked away. Ladies, if you participate in any part of this game with any man, you deserve whatever you get. When she pushed back and asked him, so that's what you're doing, and he chuckled and said yes, he was very self-satisfied with himself. He and that's why you know that this is going to be a problem, because her husband was like, dude, what are you saying? Why are you doing that? Because he knows as a grown ass man he's going to pick up the check, and regardless, they're married, they live in the same house, her paying, him paying, it doesn't matter. The money is in the same household, so it doesn't matter. But it's the audacity of it. This man, this young man, is setting himself up and other people up for sadness. I don't like, why would you do that? These people are grown, they're adults, they're wearing wedding rings because they're actually married. So why would you even do that? And that just goes, and he had the nerve to do this to this couple. So he's done this before. He's probably saying these things on social media to his other little friends or whatever. She says in one of her comments, it's the audacity for me. Clearly, that's how he operates with women. Fine. Any woman who engages with him deserves what she gets. But he had the nerve to tell a grown ass man who's clearly old enough to be his father to act like him. His parents should be ashamed. The funny thing is that we're seeing these red pill talking points play out in real life. It's not just on social media anymore. It's literally playing out in real life. That's how we know that things are about to really continue to crumble. And she came over to Facebook to say this. And I'm saying this wider. Always obviously have your own money just in case if you go out on dates. But if a person does this to you, say, I bet, pay your half, jump in an Uber and go. Jump in your car and go. Because these men, they are out here attempting to test women, and they're barely even likable enough. If you're going to pay your own bill or pay for a date, you might as well hang out with friends. There's no need to even like let these people breathe your same air. They're unworthy and they're not likable enough for all of that. All right, y'all, join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I was tagged in this post yesterday, and I thought it was a very worthwhile conversation to have. It was posted in the Fiery Femmes subreddit. She says, scared to take the stay at home mom leap. She says, I'm currently pregnant. I don't plan to fully decide if I want to be a stay at home mom until near the end of my maternity leave, given this is our first, and I'm sure I'm romanticizing the idea of having all day with the baby. I do, however, want to feel like the option is fully on the table. I'd love to hear from anyone who overcame these concerns. Number one, I absolutely cannot see divorce in our future, but I know many people who felt the same at our age. Am I sacrificing my current independence and stability? Number two, my job in industry is more stable than my husband's. He very well may be looking for a job next year. There's a chance a new job could pay more, but there's also a chance that it takes him some time to find something in health insurance, and it pays less. Number three, will I be bored in 10 years? We're planning on two children. When they're more engaged with schooling, will I wish I was further in a career? For context, she's 30, husband is 36. She says, best budget estimate we'll use is $7,000 a month after baby is here, fully paid mortgage, but high cost of living area. So she makes $230,000 a year. He makes $150,000 a year. She says she has $130,000 cash, moving some of this into investments, $230,000 in retirement, $55,000 invested. She sounds like a woman that is more financially stable than some of these trad wife horror stories that we hear about. And like literally, this is the type of woman that is talking about this now. I'm totally sure she is going to be okay financially if things were to hit the fan. Like, I wouldn't be too concerned about her versus one of those trad wives who is born and raised in religion, because this woman is clearly educated. She clearly has the capacity to make money, and she has savings. I wouldn't be so sure, like, be concerned about this woman, because it, like, let's say she were to take some time off from work, she could still get back into her industry as long as she doesn't let her certificates lapse or, her connections fall apart or anything. A person like this, the person that could write this type of list, is probably a type A type of person. And like, I wouldn't worry too much about this person. But most of the trad wife stories, the horror stories, the cautionary tales are not this prepared. This one, like, they have a fully paid off mortgage, retirement, and investments. These people are okay. I don't think that the majority of folks, the majority of families are this well prepared before the baby comes. And she's just 30. So whatever she decides to do, I don't think that she would, like, if she were to hit the fan, I don't think she would be like rebuilding from the bottom up. I think she'd be fine. Let's get into some of these comments though. Mama Sa says, momming is a lot of work. It's a full-time job, especially breastfeeding, pumping, baby care, mom care. Some people, early risers, do better than others. But some people, XYs, historically begin helping less and less with the house until stay-at-home mom becomes housewife appliance and the marriage changes. I wasn't able to do so immediately due to health reasons, but if I could have, I would have found online or virtual work earlier than I did to retain financial independence because I could have afforded to divorce sooner than I did. The change up is real. Problem was, I had planned to work from home. She planned to be a work from home mom, but several life events in a very short season, I had to pivot so many times. She says also, XYs historically financially abused dependent mothers, so there's that. If anything, that's my reason for divorce, the audacity. I became a stay at home mom and I wasn't planning on being a stay at home mom. But the cost of daycare in an urban setting, it was just too much to like go to work part time and like put the kids in daycare. It was just not worth it. And then you think, like, it's hard to even send emails. It's hard to think sometimes when you have a newborn. So I couldn't even imagine doing a work from home job in the very early stages when the kids are, you got one kid hanging off a boob, you got another kid that's despising all of the cooked food that you give. Like in the very early beginnings, I couldn't imagine doing a work from home job. I know that some people will work it out, and this woman sounds like they're financially stable enough to where she could have her job and then afford a nanny in home to help out during the times that she is like working. So this type of woman has different kind of options than other people that are more like middle class or have less money than this. But like Mama Sa says, the switch up can happen to anyone. And once you don't have that money flowing, you never really know if you're going to go from, both parties participating in the home, fairly equally to now you're just a wife appliance. You don't know if things are going to switch up to that point. All right, let's get into a few more comments. Total Possession says, Quitting to be a stay-at-home mom is the absolute worst thing you could ever do. I know so many moms that either got dumped by their husbands later or were cheated on by their husbands and had to stay because they were dependent on the income. In your entire life, the best thing you can do for both you and your children is to be able to be financially independent if the need arises. Even if you never got divorced, your spouse could die and you might need to work. Think this is unlikely? Not so much. I was a widow twice by my mid 40s. I was so lucky that I was always the higher earner, and the deaths were emotionally devastating to me, but not financially devastating. Main answer 1800 says you work, your husband stays home and freelances. $7,000 a month, but what is his take home? How much will insurance be? What if his job doesn't get, I'm sorry, what if he doesn't get a job for 6 months or gets one at $120,000 and you go back at 130? You don't have enough in retirement to stop your higher contribution and take a 5 to 10 year gap. You will also lose position if you take a gap. Jazaria says, you make a huge salary. Do you like your job? I'm the stay at home dad, but this only happened after we had our second child and they were 2 years apart. So we needed help or daycare, or one of us had to stay home. We tried for a short period of time with the help cost more than 70,000 teacher salary. All right, dang. The help cost more than my $70,000 teacher salary. That is wild, y'all. With one child, you may not want or need to become a stay at home mom. What is your maternity leave like? Will your job remain the same when and if you return? I just know that with one newborn and a very small child, there isn't a ton of stay at home work at that time. It's going to be a lot of napping and your baby doing everything around sleep schedules for like a year or more. If there's any way to delay the permanent decision of becoming a stay at home mom, I would. I'd see how you feel on maternity leave first. That is absolutely true. When I became a mom, I used to think that kids are just supposed to nap and I have the time to push the baby to a coffee shop and I could read. And yeah, that just never happened, especially once I had two babies at one time. All right, y'all, I'm going to end it there. You guys let me know what your thoughts are. I think that, especially with as many cautionary tales as I have read and seen, even though I have done the stay at home mom thing, I think that it is incredibly risky at this time to completely take yourself out. Even when I was a stay at home mom, though, I still kept my professional certifications valid and kept, plugged into that industry. Y'all let me know, though, what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. With it being both election season and find out season, it seems like a lot of women and wives are seeing that their spouses or partners are coming out of the proverbial extra conservative or red pill closet. And this woman says maybe they were never liberal. Let's get into this post. She says, reading a lot of posts on here and other mom subs about men suddenly becoming Trumpers or otherwise lacking in giving about women's bodily autonomy. I have my own experience with this weird dichotomy, so I thought I'd share. I don't want to act like it's impossible that all these men were only recently radicalized. It does happen. There are obviously plenty of men who have been taken in by the Tates and Rogans and Ben Shapiro's of the world, and it has changed their worldviews for the worse. But also, there are a lot of men who never actually cared about liberal causes in the first place. I grew up during a time when these were the vibes. I grew up during a time when these were the vibes. Republicans were Christian, not as defined by actual Christianity, but by hating Muslims, gay people, smorgasbord, and also fun. The party was the party of old white church people who frowned on emo haircuts, skateboards, and video games. They denied global warming and decried internet culture and were not down with weed. They were not cool. They just had money. If you were a guy and you wanted to get laid, you needed to not be this, but still try to have money. Democrats were like Obama. They were cool. You could be 14 and very deep about how awesome it is to not involve religion in politics and how we needed to be secular and equal. This party was the party of partiers. They made straight girls happy, bi and gay girls happy, cool black people happy, stoners happy, techies happy, and you wouldn't get called queer for wearing a band shirt and skinny jeans. In this party, just for being a straight guy ally, you could probably get laid and not have to worry about knocking her up, as Plan B and Planned Parenthood had your back. Life was good as a liberal male, even if you were pale and skinny and quirky. That was just your way of signaling that you're safe and effable. Now things aren't like that anymore. Men who were teenage liberals feel increasingly old and cranky, and they want to hang on to their status quo that they finally feel comfortable in. For the longest time, we as women have held the line that if you're going to be conservative, fine, but most of us won't sleep with you. And so men have held the line back that, okay, they will be liberal or just non political so they can remain viable on the dating market. But now they don't have to. Now they have many conservative idols doing the work of chipping away at the idea that a woman necessarily needs to find a man effable at all. Our power is so diminished these days that men no longer have any pressure on them to appear liberal. Who cares what women think of them if it doesn't stop them from getting what they want? If we find them uneffable for it, they will A, find someone else younger and hotter and more gullible, C, Melania, B, engage in marital grape, C, Ivania, C, perp on their own daughters, C, Ivanka, D, cheat or engage with corn, C, Stormy, Day, E, grape and take the baby to avoid child support or consequences, C, Gilead. Yes, the handmaid's tale is coming. Why would they need to pretend to be liberal anymore when it's no longer a requirement of being cool or getting laid? What are we going to do? Stop them? If we deny them, they take it. If we laugh at them, they unalive us. For many men, it's that simple. My abusive, strangling, smortion forcing, misogynistic, raping, racist, anti welfare, and anti single mom liberal ex figured that one out. The women at the Women's Center supported me in trying to leave him, but they were a religious outreach organization. So what did they know? They supported me in keeping my son, but it was obviously all religious nonsense, and I was stupid for falling for it. That's what he said. He used liberalism, which I generally agree with, which is what I thought made him safe, to try to force me to stay with him and Smamortha baby to make my own choice, as long as the choice was exactly what he wanted. He was only liberal insofar as it benefited him to be so, and it benefits average white men less and less, so the masks are coming off. This trend will sadly continue. The saying goes, if you're not a liberal when you're young, you have no heart. But if you're not a conservative when you're older, you have no brain. I don't necessarily agree with that statement, but I know men don't tend to give about having a heart and can't abide by being told they don't have a logical, manly brain. They figure all that heart stuff is women's work, if there are any of us left. Well, damn. Well, damn. I can say from the bottom of my heart, I have never related to Republicans ever. Even when I was a Christian, because I was born and raised in Oklahoma as a Christian, I could still never relate to them as a Black woman. And now, as an agnostic Black woman, I definitely have nothing that I can relate to them. Absolutely everything about them repulses me. So I will continue to be on that. And it's kind of easy to clock that as an agnostic Black woman, considering their party is built on racism and sexism and otherwise other bigotries. So, yeah. So the men, obviously, if I were single, would repulse me. It would repulse me. I could never date a man like that ever. All right, so Love Karma says, I think a lot of men lie and pretend to agree with women until they've married them and or baby trapped them, and then they let the facade drop. Men are pieces of and the OP says they will say anything to get laid. So I did this post first, but there are a couple other shorter posts that were in this Breaking Mom within the last 24 hours. This woman says, I thought my husband was pro choice. I learned today, after being together for 12 years, that my husband is pro life and not pro choice. I am not sure if I assumed wrong or if he tricked me. I feel a lot of emotions and mostly feel that my life doesn't matter to him. We have 3 kids together, and I begged him to get snipped, and he refused. So I'm on non hormonal IUD that is painful and makes me bleed all the time. I'm looking to get my tubes removed next, but I'm resentful. I have to go through all of this, and he doesn't at all. He is a good father and husband, but I'm just devastated right now. Thanks for listening. When people say stuff like list these negatives and then says he's a good father and husband, I really want to know their baseline for what they think a bad husband is, because a bad husband, I would think, wouldn't give a about your body and you being in pain and bleeding all the time. I would think that that's a bad husband, but I would like to know, where is the floor? What is bad? Like this person says, Headache Mommy says, I think you might need to reread what you wrote, because what you described does not sound like a good husband. And then this person says, I'm going to have to second that. This person says, you control your body. You have every right to remove your IUD, deny him X, make him use a condom, whatever is best for you. Don't let him guilt you or try to control your body or make you think his expectations are reasonable. As women, we've been conditioned by society that we must please our men and that birth control and and children are our problem. It's stupid and it's wrong. Your husband is wrong, period, point blank. And at this particular point, if he doesn't want to participate in, stopping these children from being created, then she has to take control in some other way. And then finally, I'm going to end with this one. My husband is a Trumper. We've seen a few of these. She says the title really says it all. My husband has become a worse person over the last few years, eating up alt-right propaganda and becoming increasingly racist. He is literally not the man I married, as he used to be pro-choice, empathetic to immigrants, and not misogynistic as far as I could tell, unless he was hiding it all this time. This whole time. It's hard to see, and I feel disgusted by his views. He thinks I'm just brainwashed by the left. I have banned political discussions from our household, and I just try to get through each day. She says, P.S. He's also big on conspiracy theories now. He even believes the one about government hurricanes. I think I did convince him that that one was stupid. I told y'all, women are going through it. Wives are going through it. I have a feeling we're going to see a lot more divorces come the end of this year or the beginning of next year, because this just seems wild, especially with the holidays coming up. It's going to be an explosive time in these Reddit streets. I have a feeling. Y'all join the conversation. Let me know what you think about all these. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.